This is a tough one because I feel like there's no one single thing that I associate that question with. There's probably lots of different things, right? So the beginning of my career, it was acceptance. I remember being in this team and never really feeling like I was one of them or like I was accepted. And I remember actually needing to be in India on this particular project with this team. And I was in India for about 7 months over, the period of a year and a half. And my direct manager and some other people that I was working with, I was in close proximity with those people, not only working with them, but also socializing. And I just remember feeling just completely like an outsider. And to be at the beginning of your career where you don't feel included and you're potentially, walking around on eggshells, and not only do you go through that, 9 to 5, my hours are not 9 to 5, but then after work to be in the same environment as them because you're staying in the hotel, etc. And therefore you're socializing, but actually not even feeling like I was included in the socials. Walking past, having people walk past me without even acknowledging me. So at that point, at the beginning of my career, it definitely was a point where I said to myself, is this what it's going to be like? And I remember speaking to some friends of mine, and they said it's definitely not like this. You've just got difficult people that are in your team. And I think that's what I put it down to. I try to dissociate anything personal in terms of maybe they just don't like me. Maybe I'm just offensive to them. Even I remember like being at a social and the guy was like taking a dig at my age and, was like, 20 plus year old, what do you know? And then I'm kind of like thinking to myself, well, actually, is it that you wish you were my age again, right? So some of it was like, actually, how much is it on me versus your own challenges and insecurities? But I think you don't immediately go to that. You immediately go to, I'm not included. Am I enough? I want to fit in. I want to do well in my career. Is this going to impact me, etc. But I think it took me 2 years on that particular project. This was the first one ever that I'd worked on, to realize actually this is going to happen again, and I'm gonna be okay because I've got through this, and I've learned that actually I'm not always going to work with people who are, quite frankly, going to not even inspire me, but just motivate me or make me feel like, I want to come into work. But there were real times where I didn't want to go into work. I definitely did not want to see my manager or speak to him, or, and it was awful. And I remember also a piece of almost vindication at the end of my time there. And my manager's manager, right, or not at the time, but one of his managers from a few years ago said, you didn't do enough for Ollie, and also 2 other people who were also in the same situation as me. You didn't do enough for them. You didn't do enough for them in terms of their career development, feedback, sponsorship. You didn't do enough. And at this point, I had found my level of confidence, a little voice inside me from speaking with friends, speaking with other people, to know that this situation isn't okay, and it may not be about me, it may be about them. And it made me say, this behavior isn't okay. I didn't put my hand up and tell anyone, but I was forceful, I think, in showing him that I wasn't going to accept the behavior he was illustrating to me. And I think it really meant something when somebody recognized it who was more senior, and this senior person actually said to him, you didn't do enough, and actually tried to get him to, I think he understood, and he tried to apologize. I kind of wasn't in the mood to hear his apology, because at this point I was like, well, it wasn't okay. but I kind of gracefully accepted to be civil. And I think that was real vindication for me. And I think when I look at where I am now, I actually left the project after that 2-year period, and honestly, that's when real things started happening for me, and I really started understanding, the benefit of leadership. I wasn't being led. I was barely being managed, right? I knew that I did not want to be that type of person in the workplace and create an environment where somebody in my team doesn't even want to come into the office. So for me, it spurred me on. And as I say, when I think about where I am now, I would have never been told I can get there by him. I just never, ever. So it gives me a sense of amazingness, right? To feel like I've conquered this really toxic behavior for no reason that was in the workplace when it just should never have been there.